Hello, good morning, everyone. And today we're going to speak about the silent pandemic, and that is called nothing but metabolic syndrome. So let's unmask the culprit over here, the root cause, and that is insulin resistance. And thank you, everyone, for joining me on this session on metabolic syndrome. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So, metabolic syndrome is a topic that touches every facet of our modern lives, from what we eat to how much sun we get. So, today we'll unravel the mystery behind metabolic syndrome. So, let's explore its root cause. And the root cause is insulin resistance. And let's learn how modern dietary habits, even those of pregnant women and children, may be fueling this epidemic. And this epidemic is nothing but metabolic syndrome, and the root cause is insulin resistance. So fasten your seatbelts and let's go ahead. So this journey will be both enlightening and hopefully a little entertaining as well. So let's discuss the number one understanding of metabolic syndrome, the definition. So what's the definition of metabolic syndrome? It's a cluster of conditions that occur together and significantly increase your risk for heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and the root cause, remember, is insulin resistance. So what are the signs that we see often in people? Abdominal obesity, dyslipidemia, high triglycerides, low HDL cholesterol, and people suffer from hypertension, hyperglycemia, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. That's a very interesting one. Polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, which is very, very, very common in young women and young kids. Other endocrine disturbances such as early puberty and in some cases even gynecomastia in male children. So in short, if your body were a factory, metabolic syndrome would be the assembly line where every machine is off sync, and insulin resistance is the glitch in the control system. Insulin resistance is the root cause, as we all know. At the heart of metabolic syndrome lies insulin resistance, which is the root of everything. And where is it coming from? So here's how it happens. Carbohydrate consumption and chronic insulin toxicity are connected. So when we consume high amounts of refined carbohydrates, our blood sugar spikes. The pancreas responds by releasing insulin to lower the blood sugar, and over time, constant high levels of this insulin, what we call chronic insulin toxicity, can desensitize our cells to insulin signals. So we can refer to studies by Ludwig in 2002 and Revin 1988 have extensively discussed how excessive carbohydrate intake contributes to this phenomenon. So we need to think. Insulin's role, insulin is not just a sugar regulator. It's a potent growth factor that influences fat storage, inflammation, and even cellular aging. When cells become resistant to insulin levels rise even further. A vicious cycle that sets the stage it's a vicious cycle and sets the stage for chronic diseases. Modern nutrition and its impact on our young and expectant mothers is deep. Modern dietary practices affect all age groups. Let's look at a few key points over here. Pregnant women, research shows that a mother's diet during pregnancy can influence her child's metabolic health. And later in life, the same child is going to suffer from metabolic diseases. Diets high in refined carbohydrates may predispose offsprings to insulin resistance from a very, very young age. Research from Godfrey 2007 provides evidence linking maternal nutrition to long-term metabolic outcomes. Pediatric diets and early puberty is also very important. So high carbohydrate diets, low nutrient diets in children have been associated with early onset of puberty in both boys and girls, a sign of hormonal imbalance potentially driven by insulin resistance. So studies such as those by Ahmed in 2009 have noted these trends in modern pediatric nutrition. PCOS and emotional trauma is another deeply connected thing. The rising incidences of PCOS among women is partly linked to insulin resistance. I would say that's the main cause. Furthermore, emotional stress and trauma can exacerbate hormonal imbalances, leading to conditions like PCOS and surprisingly even gynecomastia. Studies done by Aziz in 2009 discuss this complex interplay between insulin resistance and PCOS, while recent research has begun to link emotional stress as well with endocrine disruption. Diseases under the umbrella of metabolic syndrome. Let's break them down, okay? So, when we talk about which diseases come under the umbrella called metabolic syndrome, the number one that comes to my mind is diabetes, type 2 diabetes. Second is cardiovascular disease, of course, coronary artery disease and stroke, hypertension, dyslipidemia, and that's elevated triglycerides, low HDL, non-alcoholic fatty liver, and that's a very interesting one. Polycystic ovarian syndrome. We have been discussing this quite a lot today. Obesity, particularly the central obesity. Early onset of puberty in children. That's very, very important one. Gynecomastia in male children. Each of these conditions is interrelated through common thread. What can be that? Insulin resistance and chronic inflammation. So remember, these are very important for our health, and recognizing these signs and symptoms is extremely important. How to recognize the signs of metabolic syndrome? So abdominal obesity, so increased waist circumference. For men, is usually more than 40 inches, and for women, it's more than 35 inches. High blood pressure, systolic, which is more than 130, and diastolic, which is more than 85, is something that you should look out for. Dyslipidemia, high triglycerides, above 100, usually I would look at, and low HDL. For men, it's usually below 40, and for women, it's below 50. What else? Hyperglycemia, so elevated fasting blood glucose levels, anything above 100, look out for that. HbA1c levels, more than 5.4. Insulin resistance, so elevated fasting insulin levels and paired with glucose intolerance is important marker. Additional markers such as HSCRP, so those are inflammatory markers, is very important. Again, liver, so elevated liver enzymes in the cases of non-alcoholic fatty liver, that will be very, very, very prominent. Essential blood markers, other than these are quite a few, but these are the basic ones we're going to discuss today. And to confirm and monitor metabolic syndrome, we should always consider these following tests. That can be fasting blood glucose and your HbA1c, fasting insulin levels, lipid panel, what else? Total cholesterol, LDL, HDL, triglycerides, what else? High sensitive C-reactive protein, liver enzymes, ALT, AST, again for non-alcoholic fatty liver. And also the hormone panels become very important. So testosterone, estrogen, cortisol, especially in PCOS, the endocrine issues, they'll be popping out over there. Advanced lipid testing. Vitamin D becomes extremely important again to look out for, considering its role in insulin sensitivity. And look out for other inflammatory markers like homocysteine levels, fibrinogen, etc., etc. So these are the important things that we discussed today for metabolic syndrome. And we'll keep discussing how to solve this metabolic syndrome, of course, doing a lot of holistic things, including weight training, strength training, low carb diets, increasing your protein intake. Uh, what else? Improving your gut health. There's so many things that can be done to improve your metabolic health and reverse the metabolic syndromes that you might be experiencing. So today, this was an educative introduction to what metabolic syndrome is. I hope this has kind of enlightened you in understanding what metabolic syndrome is and how your dietary habits and lifestyle habits are contributing to creating this group of diseases under the umbrella of metabolic syndrome. And I hope you get some kind of clarity in your mind and a way forward to reverse your existing diseases which are under metabolic syndrome, like diabetes or hypertension or cardiovascular disease or obesity or non-alcoholic fatty liver. So thank you again for joining me. This is your health coach Rahul Patil, and see you soon again in another mind-opening, educative